All right, we are preparing for the chapter test tomorrow by doing the other chapter test. So for example, here's chapter test A. This is going to be your actual test tomorrow, okay? As you can see, I crossed out 1 and 2. You're not going to do 1 and 2 on the chapter test. And I also crossed out part C on number 20, okay? So you'll have a few that you don't have to do. But chapter test A is very similar to chapter test B. And chapter test B is what we will be using to review for chapter test A. Just like normal, except for you don't have to fill it out. All I want you to do is just take notes and maybe write down something if you forgot about it. Write it down. But other than that, just pay attention to it. Watch the video. There's a kid running the track?
A deer.
Oh, a deer running the track. He's got to work on his fitness, man.
Oh, he's a little spike.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. Number 1 and 2. Ready, Freddies?
Yeah. Put it on a rabbit.
Okay, solve for y. Then graph the equation. When it says solve for y, what they're saying is they want you to make this equation that is actually in... What form is that in?
That's in the standard form.
Yeah, but you were about to say it, right?
Yeah.
Standard form. Write that down if you don't remember. Standard form. Ax plus by equals c. Good job. That's the form that it's in. It wants us to solve for y and then graph it. If I want to know what y equals, who do I plug a 0 in for?
The 3.
The x next to the 3? Yeah. So if I put a 0 here, that makes this whole thing go away. Agreed?
Yeah.
Now how do I get y by itself?
You divide by 2. You'll get negative.
Very good. I like how you said -2 and not 2. A lot of kids will forget that that's a negative sign right there. And then, when you divide, you have to have a negative as well. So -2 is y. So solve for y. That's 1 point.
And then you do the same thing for the other one.
Now I have to solve for x to be able to graph it. Do you agree? So even though it just wants y, I can't just get away with just doing y. I have to also graph x so that I can make a line. So now, if I want to solve for x, I need to do the opposite of what I just did, right? Plug a 0 in for y,
Yeah.
which makes this go away. Now what?
And then divide by 3. Which would be
-4/3, which is the same thing as -1 and 1/3?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not going to have a very accurate, perfect graph, but what's my y-intercept? Good, -2, so I'm going to go down 2. What's my x-intercept?
-1 1/3.
So I'm going to go -1 and 1/3 is about right here. Not quite a half, about right there, okay? Now, what's my last step? Yeah, draw a line through it. There you go. So that's 2 parts. 1, it wants you to tell me what is the y. 2, graph it. Okay? Easy. Let's do this one. First, tell me what the y is.
Plug a 0 in for x.
Plug in a 0 for x. Now that's going to make all of this go away, even the negative sign, right? Now what?
And divide by 4, divide by 4, and get 1.
Y equals 1. I'm going to erase my markings because now I need to go solve for x.
Cross out 4, put a 0 in for 4, then divide by 3.
Now be super careful. When I'm crossing out 4y, do not cross out the negative with it. The negative goes to the 3, right?
Yeah.
So now what do I do?
You divide by -3, divide by -3.
Okay, so once again, this is kind of a,
-1/3.
yeah, that's funny. Okay, where is my y-intercept?
-1.
Just 1, good. What is my x-intercept?
1/3.
So it's about right here again. Okay, now what?
Draw a line.
There we go. And that's it. Each of those, if this was on the real test, would be worth 2 points. 1 point, did you tell me the y? 2 points, did you graph it? Okay? All right. Any questions on 1 or 2?
No.
If you had this on the test, would you remember to plug in zeros and all that good stuff?
Yeah.
Standard form, you plug in the zeros for the opposites, okay? Okay, 3 and 4 say find the slope. Slope is super easy to find, right? All you do is you go from one point to the other and count how many you rise over you run. Now, look at number 3.
Up 1 over 1. Or up 2 over 1.
Let me show you something. If I were to start here, where's the next point in the crosshairs?
It'd be 0, it'd be 0,
4, 0. They gave you this point, and they were like, oh, maybe they'll just, make the slope from here to here. If you do that, that's okay. It's just you'll have to reduce it afterwards. But if you look, there is another point in the crosshairs right there, and then you don't have to reduce. So I would go up 2 over 1, and that is the slope. That's it. That's all it wants you to do. Let's do it again over here. Looks like they tried tricking us again. Is there another point in the middle of the crosshairs that they didn't give us?
0, 1.
Negative 1, 1? Yeah? So I can go from this point to this point, or I can go from this point to this point. I'm going to start down here just for because. How many do I go up?
Up 1 over 3.
1, 2, 3. So my slope is 1/3. Very good. Is there any questions on how to find slope?
No.
Nope. Okay. Let's pretend for a second, before I move on. Let's pretend they did not give you the graph, and they only gave you those 2 points. Could I still find slope with just 2 points?
Yes.
Do you remember the equation? Slope equals, you're close, y2
y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1.
So if they gave me 2 points, what if they gave me 2, 2, and they gave me negative 4, 0? This would be x1, this would be y1, this would be x2, this would be y2. And then just plug in those numbers, correct? Okay. If you forgot the equation for slope, perhaps write that in your notebook, okay? All right, number 5. Which is steeper? A hill that rises 2 feet for every 10 feet of run. Rise over run. That sounds like slope, right? Rise is 2. Run is 10. So what's steeper? A hill that has a slope of 2/10 or a hill that has a slope of 2/15?
2 tenths. 2 tenths. 215. It means 2 tenths.
Should we test it? Let's test it. Right. So
It'd be 2 tenths.
I'm gonna start at the origin. Okay. If let's do the 2/10 first. Okay. 2/10 means I go up 2 over 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I've got that guy. Okay, now I'm going to pick a different color. Start at the origin again. And this one's 2/15. Or no, I just did 2/15. Now I got to do 2/10, right? Did I just do 15ths? Yeah, okay, so here's 2/10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, up 1, sorry. Up 2. Who is steeper?
Oh, I thought we were going on not steeper.
No, it wants to know which is steeper. So remember, if the run is a bigger number, it's usually going to be pretty gradual slope, okay? So if I was going in a wheelchair down these ramps, I would definitely have more speed going down this one than I would down the green one, right? Okay.
Wheelchair racing.
So which one is more steep? 2/10. The smaller the run, the more steep it will be, okay? Okay, number 6. Let me go ahead and erase some of my markings here so that we can use this space.
2 tenths was a perfect wheelchair racing hill.
Huh?
2 tenths was a perfect
I
wheelchair
prefer a little more steep.
A little steeper?
racing
You would
Like-
zoom down the hill.
Kind of like two first.
2 firsts. 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. You would just be flying. All right, guys, number 6.
Now you put kind of spoiler.
Which two lines are parallel? Oh my gosh, this is like from chapter 1. Do you remember if two lines are parallel, what will be the same? I heard slope. If two lines are parallel, their slope will be identical. Remember, I can't just assume, right? I can't assume that these lines are parallel. I need to go check it. How can I find the slope of all of these? Well, I could use my slope equation right here, or I could just, literally just go, count. Let's count it out. Let's do the top one first. So from this point to this point is up 1, 2, over 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that slope is 2/3. How about this one? Ooh, I'm going to put my dot here. Why am I doing that?
Because there's a point.
Yeah, it's the next one in the crosshairs, right? That way I don't have to reduce. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. All right, so far, those two are parallel. Let's check the last one. Well, yeah, and this one, you can already tell, too. It's like the points are further away from each other, right? Yeah. I'd go 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so which two lines are parallel? Explain. The top line and the middle line, I would say, since they didn't label our lines for me. I could say top and middle. Explain. They have.
Same slope.
Good. Now, that was like chapter 1 stuff. Do you remember in this, or not chapter 1, but section 1. Do you remember in section 2 we learned about perpendicular lines?
Yeah.
If lines are perpendicular and they make a perfect 90-degree angle when they hit, their slopes were not the same, but they were, do you remember? So let's say this slope was, yeah, they were flipped, right? So if it was 2/3, the other slope would be 3/2, but there was one more thing about it. It goes to its opposite sign. You got it, Amaya. So if it was 2/3, it's now going to be -3/2. So if they're perpendicular, the slopes flip and turn to their opposite sign. If they're parallel, they will be identical. Okay? Okay. Any questions on 5 and 6? Got it? Okay. 7 and 8 and 9 says find the slope and the y-intercept of the graph. It does not say to graph it. Just find the slope and the y-intercept. How easy is that? Number 7. What is the y-intercept?
-1.
Oh, good job. If you put 1, I will count you wrong because it's -1. How about slope? -2/1. If you put just -2, you are still correct. Okay? So -2, fine. -2/1, awesome. Okay? I like both ways. 8. What do you guys notice about 8 that's different than 7? Yeah, does it look like y equals mx plus b? No, this looks like y minus mx equals b. How can I change this equation so that it looks like y equals mx plus b?
You add 1/3 x over to the.
So if I do the opposite of what the whole thing is and put it to both sides, that's my best way of getting it over there. You are absolutely correct. So now it's gone over here, which means now I'm left with y equals 0 plus 1/3 x. Now, is that still y equals mx plus b formation, or is that y equals b plus mx? So I need to flip it one more time, right? Can I just rewrite it, though, as 1/3 x plus 0?
Yeah.
Perfect. Now, I'm going to erase my markings so that I have some space over here. What is the slope?
1/3.
What is the y-intercept?
Origin.
Yeah, good job. It is the origin. I can put 0. Very nice. Hi, Emma. All right, number 9. What do you guys notice about 9 again? Thank you.
It's not in the right formation.
It's not in the right format. It needs to be y equals mx plus b, right? How can I make it y equals mx plus b? Yeah, get that 2 out of there. So now y is by itself. Now it's y equals 3/4 x minus 2. Perfect. That's already in mx plus b formation. So let me erase my markings so I have some space to write. Slope is
3/4.
wonderful. Y-intercept, -2. Very good. Is there any questions on 7 through 9? Got it?
We have spent 15 minutes on this video.
Yes, we have. It's going to be a nice long one. Number 10. Explain how to find the x-intercept of this equation. This is y equals mx plus b, right? This is where they give us the slope and the intercept. Could I graph it and see where it crosses the x-intercept?
Yes.
I could. Do you want to do that? Okay. So how would I graph this? Where do I start? Very good. You always start at the y-intercept. So go down 2. What's my slope? 4 over 1. So we're going to go up 4 over 1. Did it already go through the x-intercept?
Yeah.
And if I could draw correctly, where's it going through? 1. Okay? So how could you find the x-intercept? X equals 1. I graphed it. And then, boop, there it is. Okay? Any questions about that? How do you guys feel about that whole first page? Comfortable?
Yeah.
Remember, you can watch this video tonight to review, okay? Okay, next page. 11 and 12. Find the x and the y-intercept and then graph the equation. If you look at both 11 and 12, are they in slope-intercept form or are they in standard form?
They're slope intercept. Alright, no, they're standard. They're standard.
Very good. Standard form is actually kind of fun. Standard form is when you have to go solve for x and solve for y. It's not so hard, right? If I wanted to solve for x for number 11, what would I do?
Zeros.
0.
For the what?
Y.
Very good. And that takes the whole thing out.
Yeah.
So divide by 3,
2.
2. Now do the opposite to go solve for the y. Put a 0 in for x. Does it take away the minus sign? Good. Keep that minus sign with the 2. Now what? What is 6 over -2?
-3.
Very good. And that's all I have to do. Now I just get to go plug those points on the line. X is 2. So go to your x, go to 2. Y is -3. So go to the y, go down 3. And there's your little line. Perfect. Easy? I like standard form. Standard form to me is pretty easy. I think it's fun too. Ready to do this one? Okay, I want to solve for x. What do I do?
Put the 0 for y.
Okay, and that gets rid of the negative sign as well.
Divide by 2. Divide by 2.
What is -2 divided by 2?
1.
What kind of 1?
Negative.
-1. Erase my marks. Do it again for the next one. Put a 0 in for.
6.
Okay. Now what?
And then you divide by 1.
Good. What kind of 1?
Negative.
Remember, this is actually -1y, right, guys?
Mhm.
I can't have that -y connected. I have to get rid of the negative. So I would divide by, yeah. What's -2 divided by -1?
1. No, it would be 2.
2. So now can I go graph it?
Mhm.
Go to the x, go back 1. Go to the y, go up 2. And whoop, there we go. How do you guys feel about 1 and 2? Or 11 and 12? Feel okay about those? Standard form? Okay. 13. You borrow $90 from your grandmother. You pay back $15 each week. Write an equation in standard form. Psst, what's standard form again? Write an equation in standard form that represents the amount owed, which will be our y, after X amount of weeks. Interesting, right? Do I know how many weeks? No, it's X, right? But do I know how much money I pay every? It's $15 for every week. Okay. How much money do I owe her?
90.
Okay. So write an equation that's standard form that represents the amount owed, which is y, after X amount of weeks. What do you guys think I should do? I know I've got to get her $90, right? Isn't it going to be 15x equals y, which is $90? Now some of you are thinking, that doesn't look like standard form. What am I missing?
X and Y.
I've got the x, I'm missing the,
Y.
yeah. So if I don't have a y was 90, right? Isn't it just going to be like this? 15x equals 90, and I could write it as like 0y plus 15x equals 90. But do I have to do that? No, because what is 0y? Nothing, right? Okay. Find the y-intercept of the graph. What does this represent? Find the x-intercept of the graph. What does this represent? So what that means is, if I was graphing this, okay, and let's say I want to tell you what the y and the x would equal. If I were to graph this, y represents how much money?
Yeah.
X represents how many weeks? Right? Because doesn't it say X weeks right here?
Yeah.
And the amount owed is Y? It's kind of a hard question. Y-intercept would be money. X-intercept would be weeks. Now, if you look at the actual test, hold on, I'm going to go back. This is the actual test, right? You have one very similar. It's number 15. You are 9 miles away from home. You start biking home at a speed of 6 miles per hour. Okay? Write an equation in standard form that represents your distance from home, which is y, after X amount of hours. So how many miles am I away from home? 9. And I know that I'm going to speed at 6 miles per hour. So it'd be 6x, right?
Yeah.
And I need to get 9 miles. It's going to be like that. Okay? Find the y-intercept of the graph. What does y represent?
The distance from home.
Yep. What does the x represent?
The hours.
H-O-U-R-S. Okay, now I just gave you the answer to number 15 on the actual test. Okay? Hopefully you guys watch this and review it. Okay? Go back to the fake test for our review. 14 through 17. You have 2 points. I want you to write them in slope-intercept form. What is slope-intercept form?
Y is supposed to be.
Y2 minus Y1.
Nope, Ben got it. Y equals mx plus b. Why is that called slope-intercept form? Because it gives you a slope and it gives you a y-intercept, right?
Now you have to do the Y2 minus Y1.
Yes. Y2. Hold on. This is going to be x1. This would be y1. This would be x2. This would be y2. Okay, so Tegan is saying let's do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Who is y2?
Negative
0.
0.
Who's y1?
Negative 2.
Don't forget it's minus negative, okay? Who's x2?
0.
0.
Who is x1?
Negative
Okay, so this would be actually plus, and this would be actually a plus, right? What's 0 plus 2?
2.
0 plus 3?
3.
What's my slope?
2. 3.
Okay, so far, out of my y equals mx plus b equation, I have, yes, I have y equals 2/3 x. What am I missing?
The Y
The y-intercept. How can I now find the y-intercept with these 2 lines? Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to go ahead and find some empty space over here. Negative 3, negative 2, 0, 0. That was easy. Where does it hit the y? So it's going to be, yep, plus 0. Okay? So let's review how we did that. First, we found the slope by doing that slope equation. Then we graphed it to go find the y-intercept. Okay? That's all it wants you to do. This is the answer. Let's do 15. I'm going to erase my markings. You okay with that? So there's some space. Okay. All right, number 15. This is x1, y1, x2, y2. How do I find slope? How do I find slope, though? Got it, Max. It's going to be 3 minus 3 over 2 minus 0. What Max said. What's 3 minus 3?
0.
What's 2 minus 0? Anytime there's a 0 in the numerator, no. Slope is 0. Okay? Which means the line's going to look like this.
0 is one of the denominators and undefined.
Yes, if the 0's in the denominator, it's undefined, which means your line will be like this. Okay, so far I've got y equals 0x plus, now I just got to find the intercept, right? I know my line's going to be horizontal. 0, 3. Well, that was easy. What's my y-intercept? Oh, sorry. I messed that up. It's up 3. Boop. What's my y-intercept? 3, because now if I graph 2, 3, doesn't my line go right through it? Yeah. So it's going to be y equals 0x plus 3. That's your answer. Is there any questions on how to do 14 and 15? Okay, then you guys, since there's no questions, you guys walk me through 16. I'm not going to do anything. So what would I start with? Tegan.
You would get the y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1.
Okay, good. So first I'm going to label these just so I can keep them straight in my mind. Okay, so take, okay. What else? Good. Now what? Double negative makes a plus, right? Same with this one. So what's 2 plus 3? Negative 2 plus 4, signs are different, so we subtract. Positive or negative? Very good. That means so far I've got my y equals 5 halves x. What am I missing? So now what? Okay. So I'm just going to make a little sketch over here. Back 4, down 3. And then negative 2, 2. Where does it go through the... Oh, I have to keep going, don't I?
Did you say negative 2, 2?
Negative 2 up 2.
Oh, okay.
And then negative 4 down 3. Where does it go through my y-intercept? 3? Yep. So here is my final answer. Good job, you guys. Walk me through this one again. What's the first thing I do? Good. Now what? Oh, gosh. Oh. Much better. There we go.
4 minus negative 5.
Very good.
6 minus 9.
Awesome. 4 minus 5, like this, boop, is going to be a plus. What's 4 plus 5?
9.
What is 6 minus 9?
Negative 3.
Negative 3. Can I reduce that slope?
Yes.
What can I reduce that to?
Divide by 3.
Well, yeah, what is 9 divided by 3? It's 3, right? Negative 3?
Yeah.
So could I write my slope is y equals negative 3x? I could, right? Okay. Now what do I need to do? Graph it, because I need to find the y-intercept. So I'm going to go 9, negative 5. Okay. And now I'm going to go 6, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my gosh. 4, 5, 6. It's a little shaky because I sketched it so poorly.
Ah, shoot. We gotta go up.
Oh gosh, you're right.
Yeah.
Skip. This one really, really is not fun to do if you don't have a really good graph paper. If I had a graph paper and a ruler, could I find my perfect y-intercept? Easily. But since I'm sketching it, there's so much room for human error that I could have the wrong y-intercept, right? The y-intercept's going to be something really big, though. Did you guys notice that? Yeah, it's going to go way up. We are going to skip it because I don't have graph paper to do that on right now. Now, let's say this is your test, and you're at home, and you don't have graph paper. That's a little rough, right? I know. So I'm going to say, just try your best. If I can tell from your paper that you struggled finding the y-intercept because it was just a rough drawing like mine was, I will give you the benefit of the doubt, okay? I'm going to say that if you have the right slope, you knew what you were doing. Does that sound good? Okay. That way, if you have a mistake like mine, like that, where let's say I say it was about 15, right? But what if it was like actually 16? I wouldn't mark you wrong because I could tell from your drawing that it was just, human error. Okay? Sound good? Okay. Number 18. Number 18 is very similar to, here's your actual test. I crossed out on number 20, part C. Part C said, what is the height of the something something? I didn't want to worry about that, okay? So let's look at 18. There might be the same thing. I might cross out something. The graph shows the relationship between temperature in y degrees and an altitude for x, okay? Find and interpret the slope of the graph. What do I need to be super careful about this graph for finding the slope? If you look at it, normally you guys know you can just go up and over, right?
Oh yeah, it's not on
Okay, so one thing, it's not on the crosshairs. What's the other thing that's weird?
75.
Yeah, do you notice the scale? What is the scale going up by the y's? By tens? What's the scale going by the x's? Twos. So every time I move over one of these, I'm actually moving over two of those. And every time I'm moving up one of these, I'm actually moving up 10. Now you could, if you were being super careful, say, okay, the rise is 10, 20, 30, and then I'm going over, this would be 2, oops, stay there, 4, 6, 8, oops, I have to go up another, so it's 35, huh? Yeah. 35 up over 8, did I say 8? 2, 4, 6, 8? Bonkers. That is bonkers. Now you could do that, as long as you're being very careful. If you're not being very careful, though, what could I also do to find slope? Yeah, the equation. This could be x1, this could be y1, this could be x2, this could be y2. Could I take 40 minus 75 over 7 minus 0? Okay, what is 40 minus 75?
Negative 35.
Negative 35? What's 7 minus 0?
Oh, 7.
7. Now, this is where it's frustrating. What slope did I get when I counted? I got 35 over 8. And doing it mathematically, what did I get?
Negative 35 over 7.
Yeah, negative 35 over 7, right?
How did you get 8? Because if you look at 7, because it's in between the line.
Right. So maybe that was just a miscalculation, right?
What the heck?
Because this is 7 right here.
We can skip that one.
Yeah.
2,
Well,
3,
what I want you to see is that if they gave you this crazy, crazy scale factor and it's all messed up, what is a better idea? To just like say, oh, I'm going up this many over this many. Is it better to do that, or is it better to just do the math?
do the math.
If you just do the math, chances are you're going to come out with the perfect answer, okay? So on the actual test, let me look at it real quick. It looks like they gave you a nice scale factor, which makes life easy. Since they gave you that nice scale factor, could you then just, excuse me, could you then just go count the slope? Like, what is the slope of this? It's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So don't worry too much. On the actual test, your slope isn't so evil. Okay? But on this review, they really tried to be mean to us. So what is the slope? Negative 35, 7. Write an equation of the line. Well, that's not so bad. What is the equation? The equation is y equals slope, negative 35 sevenths, x plus the y-intercept. 75. That's not so bad. Interpret the x-intercept. What is the x-intercept? 15? Okay, so I'd say x is 15. What is the temperature at 11,000 feet? This is the question that I crossed off on your test because they asked the same thing, but it was about height. Okay, I figured if you can do A, B, and C, you do not need to keep going on and do D. Okay, Ben? Sure. All right, is there any questions? I know that was a lot. There's a lot of information all at once. Yes, Tian?
The video is 36 minutes and
7 seconds, 8 seconds, 9 seconds. It is very long. It is a long one, but
I feel bad for the kids.
I feel like if you watch this whole video, you will be very prepared for tomorrow's test.
I usually didn't watch the videos for homework.
You just gave it a shot?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I want you to watch the videos. All right, guys, watch this video. Tomorrow you will expect to see chapter test A uploaded to the Google Classroom. I want you to fill it out on a separate sheet of paper, or if you have printer capabilities, you can print it off. But you have to turn that in that day, or else it's not, I don't count it as you were present in class. All right, bye everyone.